Make your winning move today and bet at MyBookie. Use promo code Gators and claim your deposit match, redeemable up to $1,000. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. And Gators Breakdown is proud to partner with America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com/GatorsFree and use code GatorsFree for free breakfast for life with active subscription.
Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I'm your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC and at Gators Breakdown. Good news. I know the news lately hasn't been all too positive with the end of the season, the 5-7 record, and then all the kind of recruiting rumors flying out there the last couple of weeks. And it took us a while to get some transfer portal pickups, but two big ones right here on this Sunday. You know, the second weekend where we've had some visitors going all around the country and different campuses. And man, but the Gators pick up two big positions of need here. Offensive tackle with Brandon Crenshaw Dickson and defensive lineman Joey Slackman. One earlier on Sunday, one here on Sunday evening as well. I wanted to go live earlier with the Crenshaw Dickson commitment, but I was told to hold off because there might be more. So I held off as long as I could, put the daughter to bed. Here we go, right here now on Gators Breakdown Lives. Hey, if you're live, thank you so much for standing by and waiting. I know if you're a Jags fan, you're probably watching the Sunday night football game right now. So I got it off to the side. I'll be peeking at it there. But hey, if you're watching the replay or live, hit that like button. Subscribe to Gators Breakdown right here on YouTube. If you haven't done so yet, you can do so on your favorite podcast platform as well. But hey, we got some good news to talk about right here. So smash that like button. I mean, there's a couple reasons to hit the like button. Like the work we're doing right here on Gators Breakdown, and you like the content, the actual content of the episode with two big portal commits right here for the Gators. So plenty to get into, of course. All the discussion going on at Gators Breakdown Plus. You can get in on the discussion on the Gators Breakdown Plus Discord. Link is in the description to join Gators Breakdown Plus. You get extra episodes. You get those chat episodes. You get to chat with me there, doing those weekly chats there. Ad-free episodes of Gators Breakdown as well. Get to the episode a bit quicker. That's one benefit of being a Gators Breakdown Plus member. Get that newsletter to gatorsbreakdown.com as well. But hey, right now, of course, the Discord is the pool. Go talk to other Gator fans. Some passionate discussion right there on the Gators Breakdown Plus Discord. But man, some good news. Really, really good news here for the Gators. Picking up two big portal commitments, and mostly just because they're big positions in need. And we will certainly get into it right here on this episode of Gators Breakdown. So, hey, let's start on the offensive side of the ball. And the first one of the day, and that was offensive tackle Brandon Crenshaw Dickson, one of the biggest needs for the Gators. And getting this offensive tackle right here from the transfer portal from San Diego State. He entered the portal in late November, committed to Florida after his official visit to Gainesville this past weekend. 2 years of eligibility remains for him. I know there was some confusion there. 1, 2 years. I'm hearing 2 years, so we'll go with that for now. If it changes, we'll see. But hey, a lot of experience here. 3-year starter for the San Diego State Aztecs. Played both left and right tackle. A versatile piece for tackle. Certainly adding that versatility up front on the offensive line. Big for the Gators. That's the issues we have seen at offensive tackle this past season. 6'6", 310 pounds. Also visited TCU, Louisville, Virginia Tech. He's the first addition to the transfer portal, or he was the first addition earlier this Sunday to the transfer portal for the Gators this cycle. And look, he's expected to come in. You play as many snaps as he's played, come compete for a starting tackle spot. Throughout his playing career for the Aztecs, appeared in 37 games. In his sophomore year in 2021, he started 14 games at right tackle, playing in 932 of the team's 967 offensive snaps. That was second most on the team as a sophomore on the offensive line. According to Pro Football Focus, only allowed 1 sack in 403 passing chances in 2021. 2022 season, moved to left tackle, starting 12 out of 13 games. We'll get to that more in just a second. And in the past season, he made 10 starts, 4 at right tackle, 8 at left tackle. And if you like Pro Football Focus grades, he had a pass blocking grade of 80 this past season on 343 pass blocking attempts, giving up 3 sacks. So his versatility in playing both tackle spots at the college level, look, that's the valuable asset he brings to the table. As mentioned, his potential NFL prospect. He was named preseason 3rd team All-Mountain West this past year. So, look, you put him in a battle right now for Florida. He comes in, all this experience. You put him in a battle with Austin Barber, Cam Waits, and possibly one more offensive tackle from the portal as well. I think the plan would be to move Damian George on the inside for the Gators. That seems to be the talk right now, to guard. Still waiting on word for what Micah Mazuka does, if he stays or goes. There's some thought that he declares or leaves Florida. May add another body at the tackle spot through the transfer portal. And if you miss it over the weekend, one reason we bring that up is because former Gator offensive lineman Michael Tarquin announced that he got an offer from the Gators. He also picked up an offer from Kentucky, Texas A&M, as well as Auburn and Arizona State. So the pickup of Crenshaw Dickson does not mean Florida will stop pursuing other offensive tackles in the portal. So if it's Tarquin or another addition down the road, there should be a healthy battle at tackle now for Florida with Barber, Waits, Crenshaw Dickson, hopefully another addition. And look, with his snap count, now don't get me wrong, there's a lot of experience there. But just name off the list, it should be a battle. Coming in with Barber and his experience the last 2 years, Cam Waits, if he gets more time at tackle, Crenshaw Dickson in there now, and from everything I can gather, Florida is still going to look for another tackle in the portal. That could be a Michael Tarquin. That could be somebody else. So, hey, look, that's what you need. You get somebody like that bringing those snaps in, I'm sure he thinks he should be a starter, but create competition, create depth. And we saw Florida and all the injuries they faced this past year along the offensive line. Now, this guy's coming in to start. He wants to start. But also, at the very least, if he doesn't win a job, should absolutely provide quality depth, be a swing tackle here for the Gators. So, does this mean he comes in and plays left tackle and you slide Barber back to right tackle, where he played very well last year beside Osiris Torrance? That had a lot to do with it. But could be that you bring in a guy who has a lot of experience, create some really good competition. And I know there might be some worry of the level of play from a tackle from, Crenshaw Dickson and San Diego State. But, hey, let's go back a year ago. And Josh Simmons from the same school was a transfer from there, and it looked good for Florida to get him, for him to only commit to Ohio State. He was an instant plug and play at Ohio State, started left tackle for Ohio State this past season. So in 2022, Simmons was the starting left tackle for San Diego State, while Crenshaw Dickson was the starting right tackle. So Brady Hoke right there at San Diego State was developing some tackles. So you hope that's kind of replicated here from what Simmons was able to do. Josh Simmons was able to do at Ohio State this past year, transferring from San Diego State. Those guys played together. Hopefully, Florida gets the same kind of production, the same kind of play that just elevates and has a pretty good cog here, pretty good competition up front for the offensive line. So, like the pickup, you hope it's an instant plug and play. At the worst, it creates competition, creates depth. He can play a lot of snaps, but it should make the room better. Much needed position. We saw all the struggles there from Florida last year. Look, if it affords you to move Damian George inside and he plays better there as well, that's two pluses. And we know Damian George and his struggles last year, and it was well chronicled even coming into the year that he may struggle there. And that's exactly what we saw. But now you may have the luxury of maybe he moves inside. Maybe he's a lot better player there. You get better play at guard because he's there. You get better play at tackle because you've replaced him there. And his Gator offensive line protects Graham Mertz even better. So this was definitely one looked at as more of, hey, we need somebody on the outside that can pass block more consistently. Guards are going to be there mostly to help open up that run game for the Gators, but Florida needs somebody they could count on. So defensive end, edge rushers in this league don't have the confidence that they can just go get the quarterback. We saw it plenty of times last year. So good pickup for the Gators. I'm not going to sit here and say this is some outstanding, can't miss guy. I don't know that. Nobody out there knows, but I do think this is a good pickup. I do think at the very least, quality depth. I think we'll see him play a lot of snaps for Florida. I bet he's thinking coming in starting reps. But he was only the first pickup for the Gators on this Sunday. We'll get into the next one, Joey Slackman, here in just a second. But hey, don't pass up a chance at easy cash this holiday season with MyBookie. MyBookie has the biggest online selection of odds and contests to fill all your sports betting needs anytime, anywhere. So you can turn that sports knowledge into cash in your wallet. Bet on the NFL, all the college bowl games that have just started, or play for a share of big cash prizes in the weekly blackjack tournaments. If you've been waiting for the right time to get in on the action, that time is now. Make your winning move today. Sign up at MyBookie, use promo code Gators, and claim your deposit match redeemable up to $1,000. Again, that's promo code Gators to claim your bonus. Experience the thrill of sports betting right from the comfort of your home. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. And it is the most wonderful time of the year, and you can make it more wonderful by using America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh. Your holiday shopping is made easier by shopping online, so why not make your meal prep easier too this holiday season? Skip that extra grocery store trip and instead get fresh ingredients and delicious recipes delivered right to your door with HelloFresh. The most wonderful time of the year can also be a season of saving. Actually, save money this month with fresh recipes delivered. It's cheaper than takeout. With all the pre-portioned ingredients, you'll never waste money on excess food. And look, my favorite right now is that breakfast. It's quick, it's easy, it's good. There's turkey, sausage, and cheese, egg bites. Pop them in the microwave and boom, tasty, hot breakfast, ready to go. So you're still looking for that different kind of holiday gift this season? Go to HelloFresh.com/GatorsFree. Use code GatorsFree for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/GatorsFree with code GatorsFree. All right, guys, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. And this is one that I know we go back to last week. We chronicled his visit because he was, at the time, the #1 defensive lineman in the transfer portal. Some other guys that entered that shuffled him down to like #3. But Gators get one of the best defensive linemen in the transfer portal right here with Joey Slackman, committed to the Gators on Sunday. Big time, and yep, big time commit for the Gators. 6'4", 300 pounds. Guys, he was just named the 2023 Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year. He had his official visit on campus last weekend after entering the portal on November 20th. Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year. All those impressive stats, including 50 total tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. His 90.1 overall Pro Football Focus grade led all FCS defensive tackles, as did his 92.8 run defense rating. He posted 18 pressures as a pass rusher, which was tied for 36 among FCS interior defensive linemen. You're not supposed to get that many as a defensive lineman, but there you go. Getting pressure up the middle, something Florida needs. Slackman was also former wrestler at Penn, switched to football 2 years into his collegiate career, was named 2022 All-Ivy Honorable Mention after starting all 10 games and tallying 49 tackles and 4.5 sacks. According to Penn's site, he accumulated 115 total tackles, 25 tackles for loss, 11 sacks, 3 deflected passes, 2 forced fumbles, and a block kick throughout his 28-game career for the Quakers. You see why he won. I mean, he had a really good year this year, but look, this was, and kind of going back to Crenshaw Dickson, These are guys who are not just flash in the pan. These are not guys who had just one good year. These are guys who've had impressive seasons back to back, or in some cases, back to back to back. Consistency here through the transfer portal. Guys that got to, of course, raise their level of play, but we've seen it all around the country. The guys are getting poached from the lower levels, and look, these guys want to prove themselves at the higher level. And Slackman right now brings an immediate impact to the Florida defensive line as one of the top defensive linemen in the transfer portal. Florida sees him as this, big end, can play some tackle, place him along that Cam Jackson, Tyreek Sapp, Caleb Banks, Justice Boone rotation that helps make up, Florida, speaking of transfer portal, and we were talking about kind of, it was time for some good news because the bad news we've heard recently lately, it's hurt Florida in this position. Chris McClellan transferring out. Will Norman transferring out. Guys have only been in the program for a couple of years and only 1 year on the way out. So this helps make up for that in some ways. You also get this commitment without a named defensive line coach. So that lets you know how much he wanted to be a Gator. And like the other schools of note and mentioned here, North Carolina, Michigan. In the end, I was hearing it was more of a Florida-North Carolina battle. So this is a guy instant impact. This is somebody you are banking on, counting on, putting in the rotation. Now, there's a little bit injury concern here. If you saw the pictures of him last week, his arm was in a sling. That was some of the talk this past week as well. But in the end, he ends up committing to the Gators. So also important that, you get it without a named defensive line coach. So you got a JUCO commit last week without a named defensive line coach. And now you get a transfer portal commit here. So also, this was big too because, look, we followed the storyline of the transfer portal, and it wasn't looking good for Florida. It needed to change, and we thought it probably would change this weekend. You had visits last week, you didn't get much out of it, and we saw Ole Miss cleaning up in the portal, South Carolina getting a whole lot of commits there. So it was time. You were going to start seeing Florida get some of these guys, but one of the worries here for Slackman was, all right, he visited campus last week and he left without committing. And of course, the way we've seen it play out for Florida, kind of dating back to the last transfer portal cycle was, okay, that usually didn't mean good news for Florida. If they left and didn't commit, all right, well, here, Florida gets one and gets one of the best. As we said, he was the top ranked. Slackman was the top ranked defensive lineman in the portal before, the likes of Walter Nolan put his name into the portal. But still, I think the third ranked right now in a lot of these rankings, for whether it be 24/7 or on 3, the number 3 ranked defensive lineman in the transfer portal. So big time get for the Gators, and you hope he caused that havoc there. Now he probably would play a little more big end instead of the middle like he did at Penn. Of course, it's going to be a little different with the bigger bodies of the SEC and the schedule you're going to play. But he maneuvered a little bit, and he said in some interviews he wants to be a versatile piece. He'll still play a little tackle, but more that big-bodied end. Think of, helping out Justice Boone a bit, who, of course, is coming off a major injury from last year. So one more time, creating depth, creating competition. And this is a guy I expect to see immediate dividends. As long as the health, he bounces back healthy enough, I think we'll see a nice little addition to the Florida defensive line and get some numbers there and guys who I think you'll be able to count on to make some plays there. That was the biggest issue, I think. There was a lot of bodies for the Florida defensive line last year, but where were the plays? Where was the impact? There were some bodies, and it looks like almost not everybody. Cam Jackson elevated his play. Princely was, named all SEC, more of an edge player anyway. I'm talking about the defensive line. You didn't see, one guy just stand out and make a whole lot of plays. Everybody was just kind of even across the board. You need some guys who are going to show up, make plays, and start. You get one guy that can make plays like that. It helps everybody else there. I think Princely would have been even better had an impact, strong side defensive end on the other side. Would have been able to help him out a bit, filter some of the pressure towards Princely. His sack numbers probably would have been better. That was an issue for Florida last year. So you bring in a guy like Slackman to help in that regard. But going on there. Just mentioned Princely. And I think if we start looking forward and what Florida needs, look, this is only 2 additions right now. Looking at probably about, I'd say top 6 or 7 transfer portal additions. And I think now you start looking at it, what else can Florida add? Well, you got your strong side defensive end type right here and Slackman. Florida needs to go get a proven edge. Now, I like the young guys. I like what I saw from Searcy and Collins and, pass rush situations. Cam James is a young guy as well, but I'd like to get a little more proven edge rusher in the portal. I would have been okay with Princely staying and having somebody on the other side of him help him out a bit. So if we start looking a little bit, edge, I still look at wide receiver as well, an outside wide receiver to come in and help Trey Wilson. Possibly another corner as well for Florida. And as I said even earlier, another offensive tackle. Hey, so you guys comment. See, what do you want to see? What do you want to see in the transfer portal? Is there a certain player? Is there another position out there you think Florida absolutely has to get? Throw that comment there. But as I just brought some of those positions up, Florida might have some more transfers coming in. I think to watch for, going back to last week, guys that were on campus last week didn't commit to Florida, didn't so far commit to anywhere else. As I might need to check the phone, but as we're sitting here live and make sure something happened. Hasn't happened yet, but as we are recording here, 2 names I say look out for that were on campus last week for the Gators. First, wide receiver, Wisconsin transfer Chimere DK, played with Graham Mertz at Wisconsin, made some other visits around the country, was on Florida's campus last week. I think that's a name to look out for. And also safety, Oregon transfer, Triquezy Bridges, both visited last weekend. I think Florida's in great shape for both. Bridges kind of made it known he wants to play safety. I think he's coming off of a Washington and, off the top of my head, maybe a Houston visit. Right now, I think Florida's in good shape for those guys. So you might be adding 2 more transfers here in the coming days as we march to early signing day on Wednesday. That's 2 more I'd look out for. Positions to need, some other names to look out for. Guys that were on campus, guys Florida made impressions with last weekend. Derek Taylor, he says, still need edge, wide receiver, offensive tackle, safety, cornerback. There we go. So, completely agree. And just gave you 2 names there I look out for. Might take care of receiver. Still may be able to garner another receiver. We'll see with that one. But certainly one I'd be looking for there, especially with the familiarity with Graham Mertz. He can help sell Florida right here as well. Coach Oz does bring up a good point. The offensive tackle from Wisconsin ever visit? Not that I know of. And look, I will fully admit Florida's not putting everything out there. I think even some during the week visits that may have happened, I don't even know names for those. There's a reason they are keeping them under wraps. So I do think there might be some visits we haven't even heard of yet. And that might be one of them. That's just me guessing. So if we look at it that way, he might be one of those guys. Derek Taylor brings up a good point, and this will keep going because there's bowl games still left to be played. Some big programs are still playing. We haven't seen everybody enter the transfer portal. Derek Taylor brings up a good point. They pulled Wearsall in the spring 2 years ago. Yeah, I think most of them are going to enter so already or in the coming days, weeks. But there still will be one more down the road. I know we were kind of banking on that last cycle for the Gators. It didn't really pan out the way we thought it would. And for me, overall, I like a lot of the players Billy Napier has brought in from the transfer portal, preferably, and I have said this, just wanted more. So might be the plan of attack here. But we'll see. That's just kind of where I go with it. But yeah, there will be one more window here and more names in the coming days. JB does bring up a good point, and that's why I said maybe one more DK or JB, because I agree with you. I also would prefer a big body wide receiver. DK's listed at 6'1", which means he's really 6'0", is what JB says. Yeah, that's why I kept throwing out one more. I also want a bigger body more of a dependable, more of a maybe proven downfield, consistent threat in that role. On the road with EG says we need OC, OT, defensive tackle, cornerback. So center, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, cornerback. I don't think they'll get center. I think they'll be okay with Slaughter coming from there and his experience from last year. Kearney, I know he just put out a video over the weekend showing him developing, practicing those reps for center. And also, I still think you can slide Najee Harris in there too if you absolutely had to. So I wouldn't think center. But yeah, Wardad brings up Mario Williams. He's the receiver from USC who's put his name in the portal. I haven't heard much from there as far as Florida goes. There maybe start following up on that. But yeah, Mario Williams, loved the kid in high school. And a guy I know pretty well who was in that 7-on-7 circuit in the state of Florida. Mario Williams was his favorite receiver coming out of that. So I will actually hopefully connect with him tomorrow and see if he can glean anything there. So, but yeah, maybe. Let's see. Oh, OC was offensive coordinator, not center. Okay, we were talking transfer portal, so I thought you were. I thought on the road with EG. I thought you were talking center there, since we were talking positions. Offensive coordinator. Hey, we'll see if anything comes to that. Don't necessarily want to get into that conversation right now. Wally Gator brings up a good point. This program needs players that want to play for Florida. Period. He obviously didn't. He was average at best when he was here, no more for getting holding calls and making key blocks. I'm trying to figure out who you were talking about here. Wentz. Probably too far in the comments. I just thought you were Tarquin. Okay, I guess that's what you were going on here. Well, I mean, the staff wants him. So, coming back around on him. They offered him. So we'll see. But hey, look, we had this discussion on the Gators Breakdown Plus Discord. I ain't got no issue with it. The staff values him. We see the offers he's still garnering out. Now, it didn't go too well at USC for him this past year, but, he was dealing with injuries when he was here. Barber took over once those injuries set in and didn't really ever relinquish the job. So, look, I'm for it. It would not bother me if Florida brought him back in. All right, here we go. Before I wrap up, we'll get into a little bit of weekend recruiting news, just kind of the highlights. I will have Corey Bender on Monday evening here on Gators Breakdown as we kind of get a maybe wrap up from this past weekend and kind of preview early signing day. But, of course, 3 main storylines, I think, coming out of this weekend that I'll just quickly gloss over. We'll dive in even more Monday night with Corey. When he and I will talk about all this. But DJ Lagway pretty much affirming on campus this past weekend, affirming, look, he's coming to Florida. Nothing to worry about there. He'll be signing with Florida on Wednesday. No need to worry. I think a lot of people, just because of the way things have looked or trended in some fashion in other areas, maybe have kind of not felt as confident in DJ Lagway becoming a Gator. I don't think there's any worry there, guys. But, of course, 2 visits of commits happening elsewhere. One we knew about, one we didn't know about until Thursday or Friday. First, Xavier Filsaime, the safety committed to the Gators. Gators do their in-home. The Gators go to a school last week. They're in Texas. And he visited Texas over the weekend anyway. And then we see a Texas Sports Illustrated article basically that came out and said he had flipped from Florida to Texas. That was quickly deleted. I know a lot of people still believe it's going to happen. It's only just a matter of time. He's supposed to make an announcement, even though he's already committed. You see where this is probably going. Going to make an announcement on Wednesday, is Filsaime. And look, if I had to predict it right now, I'd say he flips from Florida to Texas. It's kind of been writing on the wall the last couple of weeks. Hopefully, there's some last-minute Hail Mary from Florida to keep him in the class. Probably, definitely one of my favorite players, as he should be. 5-star safety out of Texas. But doesn't look good right now. Things change. quickly down the road with so many days, or just only a few days before early signing day. But one of the other ones I hope that doesn't change was Darius Hayes, linebacker, visiting Miami, kind of surprisingly this weekend. Was supposed to host Florida in home, but ends up taking a visit to Miami, spending a lot of time on Miami's campus this week for a visit. Of course, not the first time he's visited, and probably should be some worry there as well if he will kind of stay in this Florida class. I think Miami, all reports are they feel good about where they stand coming out of the weekend. I don't know if it's even fully decided if there's going to be a flip from his end or not, but it's just one to keep tabs on there. You're not fully shut down if you're taking all those visits. Of course, Miami, a lot of interest in Hayes. He's been there. This is not a new flirtation there for Hayes. It's kind of been on maybe the back of our minds that he could flip from Florida, and Miami would be one of those schools if he does. He kept taking visits all throughout the fall, not completely shut down like some of these other recruits here for Florida. So we'll see where that one goes. That's the two. I mean, he's also saying he's got an announcement to make on Wednesday. Guys that are committed saying they're announcing where they are going on Wednesday, not just like you see Miles Graham. He's fully bought in. He's tweeting out Gator graphics and, hey, come watch my signing to the University of Florida on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Filsaime and Hayes are saying we got an announcement to make on Wednesday of where we're going. So hopefully both guys stay in this class. Hopefully there's some magic in these next few days. But certainly you guys follow it out there as much as I do. I'm going to continue to talk about it. Going to put it in here so you guys are up to date if you haven't been keeping up with it over the weekend. So it's not a surprise if there's talk of Filsaime in his flip or Hayes in his possible flip. So we'll see where it goes. Hopefully by the time Wednesday rolls around, there's some good news for Florida. But Texas is feeling really good about their flip chances. Miami's feeling better. But I do think, Florida still feels good about where they are at with Darius Hayes and his commitment. So we'll see what the next few days hold. Buckle up. It's going to be a roller coaster. So Grimsley, the cornerback here from the state of Florida that's committed to Alabama, he confirmed he's shutting it down. I know he thought to be a flip candidate towards Florida as we head towards early signing day, but he did announce on this Sunday, Jameer Grimsley, that he is shutting it down and staying committed to Alabama and will sign with them on Wednesday. So there you go. There's a few headlines from this weekend. We'll get into much more with Corey Bender as we kind of review this past weekend, preview some of these decisions that we have for Wednesday signing day. Of course, you guys know on Wednesday night we'll have a signing day show as well. So that's what you got coming up here on Gators Breakdown the next few days. So, all right, that will do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I'm your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thank you for joining me on this episode of Gators Breakdown.